At the time you're listening to this, it is Monday, July 13th. However, at the time of recording, it is Sunday, July 12th. And welcome back to the Very Real Podcast, the one-stop shop for gamers to get their weekly dose of worldwide news and politics. I'm your host, Great Value, and with me is my good friend Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hello, hello.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you here?
Well, you need a stand-in anyways, but I did at least want to be on one of these, at least one.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
So Diego is still, or Trusty Knuckle is still on his administrative leave. He's giving birth today. Did you know that?
What?
Yeah,
You're lying.
he's boy preggers. He's giving
Ain't
birth.
no way. Is that why he's gone? He's on maternity leave? That's crazy. Or I guess
Yeah,
paternity
yeah, paternity leave,
or
whatever.
dayternity.
They maternity leave exactly. But best wishes to Trusty Knuckle and his birth. May their they them son daughter be born healthy and well. Okay, so we're gonna get into the news. We're recording this on Sunday because we just had to get it out of the way. So as usual, we're gonna be playing our 5 games of Smash Brothers while discussing the news. And our first topic of the day is Iran again. Fuck. So,
Oh my god.
if you aren't aware or have been living under a rock for the past, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months. I don't remember. This dates back all the way to May 3rd. But we're involved with Iran again. So last time we brought this up, the Trump administration worked out a tentative peace deal with Iran that included a fuck ton of awful things that were objectively worse than the deal that Obama made. I forgot the acronym for it, but it essentially was a deal that benefited Iran entirely. It resulted in like $300 billion for infrastructure for Iran that came straight from America's pockets. And it basically let them run the Strait of Hormuz however they wanted with very little U.S. involvement. So they signed a tentative peace agreement back in mid-June when we last discussed it. And as it turns out, neither side can keep true to their word. So Iran as of Thursday, I believe, bombed a few or attacked a few military vessels or a few civilian vessels, and they broke their peace agreement. So that resulted in the U.S. having to basically go back on their side of the peace agreement because Iran broke their peace agreement. And now we're back. No deal, no nothing, and we're all having to deal with the pain that is the Iran war. So, as someone with employment and job and having to travel as much as you do, how does this make you feel, Jason?
Well, because the thing is, I don't. Well, I am traveling like recently. Just it's for fun. I don't really. My work doesn't require traveling,
Yeah.
but it's like I'm just kind of tired of this shit. I just see on Twitter all the time. And I guess like the commoner view, because I don't really follow this shit that well, is like, oh, our gas is gonna go up again, you know.
No, but
Um,
that's a legitimate concern to have because of the fact that people need to travel to work. Like the major here in the United States, we are in a weird position where the majority of our workers do have to use their car to get to work. It's different from most other developed nations where they have public infrastructure, which allows them to use like trains, buses, and that largely they don't have to rely off of gas. They just
mhm.
use whatever public transport is available to them, and a lot of the public transportation runs on renewable energies, which the U.S. does not use, and so they don't feel the brunt of the shifts in energy prices. So
Mhm.
it's really tough on Americans specifically. So on July 7th, Iran was accused of striking 3 ships in the Strait after traffic slowed. And the U.S. responded with striking a bunch of targets in Iran and reinstating sanctions on Iran's oil. Tehran said that like the era of bullying and extortion is over, that they want to be at the table and discuss better. I guess they just want to hold the U.S. hostage and hold U.S. voters hostage because Iran. I don't know why they got a sweetheart deal, but they seem like they want something more, but I can't tell what they want more. So, Jason, as someone who does not subscribe to or is not involved in foreign affairs very often, what do you think Iran's fucking doing?
I don't know. Do they think that? Do they think that? Do they think that our government cares about their citizens? Because they don't.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's stupid, but we're going to get into this again for like the third time. So this is going to affect U.S. voters a lot this coming midterms. We're going to be discussing left-wing populism and Republican, what is it? And how Republicans will fare in the midterms, because as we're going to get into it, especially with, Lindsey Graham's untimely death, Republicans have... It's very hard to vote Republican right now because Republicans have been at the forefront of, or at least Republicans in office have been the ones who are most vocal about the support of the war in Iran because, Trump is the one negotiating it. And it's really hard to support what is going on right now because, again, this foreign diplomacy has been largely a failure. And what's going to be more interesting is in 2028, J.D. Vance is more than likely going to run for office. And he has been at the table making negotiations with the Iranian people. And I just want to know what's going to happen. So how do you feel about 2020 or these upcoming elections and 2028 as a whole? Any closing thoughts on Iran?
It's just really annoying because we have a bunch of crazy fuckers who just don't want to surrender or negotiate anything. It's just so ironic. This guy talks about Orange Cheeto Man just talks about peace like all the fucking time, but then we see fighting like literally 5 minutes after.
My favorite thing was like he ran on being the peacemaking president, that he was going to be a peacemaker and he was going to end the Russian war on day one. He was going to end the war in Iran, or he was going to the Palestinian Israeli war in day one, and he did neither of those things. There's still fighting going on both sides of both regions, and he started a new war that was not over in one day, and instead it's still going on, and there's does not seem to be a stop for the foreseeable future. So our next topic is going to be the ICE shooting that happened here in Houston. So a little bit of background information about me, at least. I live in the city of Houston, and this directly affects me as someone of color. So Lorenzo Salgado Rujo was a Mexican national. He was a 52-year-old Mexican national, so he was an undocumented immigrant, and he was killed by ICE in a traffic stop. So according to the Department of Homeland Security, the stop was initiated because they saw a white man with an individual who resembled the target, and that they shot in self-defense. The agents said that the agents were not wearing any body cams and don't have any images for what happened, so there's no real way to tell exactly what happened. But there are photos that were taken by the people who were also in the van, because the Lorenzo was not alone in the van while he was being shot, and so they're providing images, documentation that shows what might have happened. So from testimonies from the ICE officers and from the people there, it seems like there was a traffic stop that was conducted by ICE, and that this traffic stop ended up being hostile one way or another. It's being contested what happened exactly there. The people who were in the van with Lorenzo said that the ICE agents were being aggressive and then forced them out of the vehicle, despite the fact that the people there were basically doing nothing. And the ICE agents said that Lorenzo and his colleagues were being uncooperative and being aggressive, which is why they had to shoot. But there is a current investigation being done. And it's what's difficult about this investigation is that local law enforcement does not have jurisdiction to conduct or investigations onto federal law enforcement agencies. So we're in a weird position where the Trump administration has to be accountable for this, for what happened. Um, and this is just a few months removed from the shooting with Alex Preddy and Renee Good, who were U.S. citizens that were killed by federal agents in Minneapolis. And what makes it even worse is that there was video of that, and there were people who were contesting what was going on, who were saying like, "Oh, well, they both were acting aggressive, being violent." When in reality, if you look at the video and really examine what went on, it seemed like they were largely trying to de-escalate, and it's not a good look. So Lorenzo is at least the 8th person to die during the Trump administration's immigrations operations, and so far, not a single immigration officer has been charged with any of these deaths.
Feels
So
good, man.
there's been almost no accountability from anyone, and it's not good. Um, so how do you feel about what's going on with as
I,
another
f-
person of color?
I forget that ICE employees are considered federal employees. That's
Yeah.
insane. What a fake department, man. I because the thing is, like, I feel very personally about this. I actually coming from personal experience, because like I'm Asian American, so I frequent Houston's Chinatown a lot. I'm around the area. I don't know if I'm doxing myself there, but anyways, so I remember one time the what's it called, like, social media of my community just like blew up because ICE agents were seen in the area. They're having a meeting or something, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was spooked. Because the thing is, obviously, like, they claim, any right wing, da da da, whatever that we want to call them. They'll be like, oh, like, we're only looking for the people, criminals, or like da da da, or people who are quote unquote not supposed to be here, so
Yeah.
they have no citizenship, or like whatever, right? But I was still afraid, low key, because they're gonna look at the color of my skin, and that's all they see, and they're just like, okay, we need to get this guy out of here, right?
Yeah,
But
that's the problem. White House border czar Tom Homan said that if the officers acted outside policy or illegally, they'll be held accountable. The problem is that we've seen that these officers are not held accountable. No one's being
Mhm.
investigated. No one's show, or at least the government has shown that they kind of don't give a shit if just a few people die to keep, I guess, America's borders safe. But in reality, I don't feel any safer as a Hispanic citizen, American citizen here. I genuinely fear that I might be deported. It happened with, like, the biggest example is like Kilmar Abrego, who was living here legally and was deported, and the Trump administration was sued to get him back, and they put up a fight to make sure that they didn't. And it's difficult. It genuinely makes me scared to see where we're going. But
No, literally, like, I was so scared. I felt I had to carry my passport card around everywhere, and like that's like normally not something you should bring around like that. But like, I was generally so frightened that I would get like caught. I mean, granted, like, my demographic, like, not to say that like I wouldn't be like at risk or anything, but I do
yeah,
feel like these people are racist people,
yeah,
and they're only looking at a certain demographic, right?
yeah. Like,
And I'm not that demographic, so it's like like, I feel a little bit bad feeling unsafe
yeah,
because, like, I'm not part of the demographic that's quote unquote more in risk. But like, I think the common thing is that the people, we're not white.
mhm,
Okay, like, we're not white. That's the problem, and at least to them, right? and it's just so it's just so dehumanizing. Like that's my positionality is a bit more, I would say, like quote unquote fortunate,
Mhm.
but like at least that small experience just like because I read this stuff online all the time, but like that that like like sort of personal fear had really helped me like empathize. Like, oh crap, like some people could really just like lose their whole lives or their family, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's just awful.
And what's unfortunate is that the majority, like these are I don't have the statistics up with me, but from what I remember reading about this situation and reading about past situations, the majority of people who have been deported have been Hispanic Americans or Somali Americans. So they
Right.
are targeting very specific groups, and it's like we're not seeing Asian Americans being deported in droves. We're not
Mhm.
seeing uh, Europeans who overstayed their visas being deported in droves. We're seeing Mexican Americans. We're seeing Guatemalans, Haitians, Somalians being deported in droves, and it's I hate being I hate being like putting bias or putting like or talking about unproven things because it can't be proven that the administration is being racist because
Yeah.
you can defend their saying like, okay, well, the reason why the largest amount of people who are being deported are this group is because they're the closest, and I understand that. However, it's not a good look when what is happening is largely or disproportionately affecting a certain minority group, and
Mhm.
it's becoming harder and harder to avoid the fact that this administration is doing policies that are very targeted and affect a very specific group that Trump himself has been vocal about. Like if you remember that, like the the comment he made in his or in 2015 when he was like, they're not sending their best, they're all rapists and criminals, and for a normal politician that would derail their political career. But in fact, a lot of voters resonated with him. And I don't want to say this and make it seem like if you support Trump, you are a racist, but it seems like all the people who, or all the racists, support Trump. Like David Duke in 2016 was one of his biggest supporters. And so it's becoming harder to defend Trump if you are not racist per se. If you are a conservative who voted for him for tax cuts and environmental deregulation and for I guess uh de-escalating foreign intervention, it's becoming a lot harder to support him because one, his tax cuts have largely been ineffective for the middle to lower classes. In fact, taxes have gone, I wouldn't say up, but you are getting less benefits for your taxes. So Social Security is down, or Medicare is down. Uh,
People period.
uh, veteran benefits are down. All these things are down because of the tax cuts. So you're paying more in taxes and getting less in return. I guess proportionally. Um, the foreign deregulate or environmental deregulation has been largely bad for the average American because we're seeing these data centers that are polluting the waterways. They're polluting water sources, and they're making the area around them worse because Trump does not want to regulate these things. And in terms of pulling out of foreign intervention, we are now more involved in foreign affairs. Case in point, Iran. We discussed this earlier. So, you any
Mhm.
closing thoughts on the recent shooting going on?
the thing about the thing about this that really sucks is that ultimately ultimately the thing about this that really sucks to me is that this guy was literally just like taking his family somewhere. He works for his family, like he's been working for a builder.
He was
He's
no,
working
he's
at
a
an
business
port.
owner. He was a business owner. Like this is
Like,
one
come
like
on, dude.
one of the things that uh is not talked about enough is that undocumented immigrants are business owners and contribute to the
To
economy.
society.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's just like I think the thing 'Cause I think that really gets me about like the thing that really gets me about like the conservative campaign sometimes really is like, oh, we're for Americans. And it's just like this guy is constantly seen on social media, on online, like just making comments about like, not giving a fuck about us. Okay. And it's just like it really I just don't understand why people still support this guy. Like like you said, like it really is just harder and harder to, support his campaign or support his presidency right now. Like I don't know what it is. Like I don't know if it's like brainwashing or they don't know, his supporters don't know what else to do.
it
I
it's
don't know.
hard to admit that you're wrong. Like
Yes,
it's
it is.
difficult to say like, okay, I made a mistake and I regret my choice because we don't like being wrong.
Yeah.
It's in our nature to double down. But
Yeah.
again, like immigration is difficult. It used to be really easy. I actually did this project for my master's where it was where we looked in the immigration process for immigrants during the time when Ellis Island was still being used. You had to answer like 20 questions, get a medical check, and you were in the country legally. And now it's
Oh,
difficult.
go.
His
Yeah.
son, they actually interviewed his son, Salgado Rujo, and they said that like he was really close to getting his legal status. This is a direct quote. We dotted every I and crossed every T, filled every document, attended every appointment, and they were looking to be here legally, but unfortunately, he died without citizenship. Sucks.
Man, come on, man.
Yeah. All right.
This
On to
one's really bad.
yeah, yeah. It fucking sucks. So on to our fun story of the day. How are into sports or baseball are you?
I mean, a lot of I'm not into baseball myself, but I hear things here and there because my coworkers are really into it.
Okay. So last week, there one of the biggest stars in baseball, Bryce Harper, sent a personal video to a FanDuel customer who has a severe gambling addiction. So this guy, Terry Thompson, uh, bet over or wagered over $18.5 million in FanDuels. He was one of their VIP customers. So, in order to obtain VIP status, you need to bet a certain amount. And with this VIP access, it actually gave him like a personal assistant or like a personal host from FanDuel whose name was Brittany. Guess how Brittany's spelled? I want you to guess how it's spelled.
Let's see, BRYT knee.
It's Bryttani. So you
Okay.
know that she's evil. I'm a big proponent of normative determinism. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Okay.
Uh, why you might have explained it to me.
Okay. But she basically encouraged him to gamble more. They would have talks about like their day, like what are their hobbies, what are their aspirations in life, and
Hmm.
just have like an overall chat. And
Okay.
this gets into question over how predatory these kinds of things are, and it's not very good. So what ended up happening was that Terry was not betting as much as he used to because he was $2 million in debt. He was $2 million down the hole. He had to get second mortgages on his house, had to liquidate his assets, and overall could not continue betting. So what FanDuel ended up doing was they got Bryce Harper, one of the best players in baseball and has been one of the best players in baseball for over a decade now, to make a personalized video talking with him about baseball and telling him that like, hey, I'm rooting for you. I hope you're doing well. I hope everything's good with you. And it it pulls into question the morality of betting and how it's affecting people because in 2018 the Supreme Court ruled that sports betting was legal, and that ended up resulting in a lot of people getting into gambling debt. um
Like,
he actually like okay it's even worse. This guy Thompson texted his therapist that like he felt that everything was hopeless and couldn't confess to his family that he was $2 million down the hole. And the therapist called the police because they thought he was going to kill himself. And
My God.
it's really, really bad. Like really bad. But again, the video that Bryce Harper made was not the only thing that Brian Thompson was given by FanDuel. So I should have
Oh my
mentioned this earlier,
gosh.
but FanDuel was the betting platform that he was betting on. He was also given a sports trip to the Super Bowl where his team, the Eagles, played Kansas City. He was given tickets to Sports Illustrated and FanDuel parties, and he got to hang out with Chris Rock at Super Bowl parties. And they basically coaxed him into giving them $18.5 million of their own money. And this is on top, like this scandal is on top of various other scandals that have affected the sports industry. Or if you remember, last year, Shohei Ohtani got into a little bit of trouble when his translator Ipe Mizuhara gambled on games, and then we had Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz gambling on games that they played in, and it's just like controversy after controversy when it comes to sports betting, and it sucked. Like the manager or the general manager or the commissioner for baseball, who preceded Rob Manfred, who I believe was Bud Selig, said that there should not be any sports betting because it corrupts the sport.
Oh, fuck.
And then Rob Manfred was like, "Fuck it, let's put in baseball, or let's put in gambling into our baseball." And I think it's corrupted like it's corrupted our sports. So how do you feel about what's going on with this with gambling and sports betting as a whole?
I mean, okay, for context, like I open Pokemon packs, like I collect Pokemon cards. Okay, like this is like Gen Z stocks and gambling.
Yeah.
So like I know the dopamine hit when I pull something from a pack. Okay, so it's just like if you pull something really good, you just my first like for those of you who know like of course I think you would know because you
Yeah.
know about cards like
For
so so one of like the best things you could pull, like the rarity is called like a special illustration rare. Okay.
yeah.
So it's usually like a real, if I want to be very it's like in the literal sense, it's a special illustration, right?
Yeah.
And and those cards are like typically pretty hard to pull, like depending on the set. The most recent sets are like sort of forgiving. But the first time you pull one, like you're done. Like I think the moment you pull a good card, like you're stuck.
Like
Like I've been collecting for like I think almost a year now. And I told myself at the beginning, I was like, you know what? Like I'm just gonna do this for a little bit. I'm not gonna pull that much. I actually intended to play the game, believe it or not. And now I'm just like a filthy, like I just collect the cards. Like I don't even play the game. I was supposed to, but I didn't. Right?
okay. So I have played competitive card games. I play Yu-Gi-Oh. I want to play more of it, but I understand the collecting aspect of card games. How like a key difference between card games and sports gambling is you can sell your cards. Believe it or not, people will buy them, and there are dedicated markets for the sale of cards and merchandise like that, of collectibles.
Mm-hmm.
Sports gambling is different in that you just make bets, usually with the platform that you're on, so like FanDuel's or what's the other one, like DraftKings, whatever. And there's no real way to recuperate your losses, I guess, other than just betting more. Like like if you have your Pokemon packs, you can just sell the cards. Like more often than not, you're not going to make your money back with them, but you can make a little bit left, or you can make
Yeah.
some of it back because they are a physical, tangible quantity, and it's a commodity. It's essentially like a commodities market where you buy gold or buy oil, and then sell it at a later time.
Yeah.
But I often joke like, "Oh, let's go gambling. Let's put bets on stuff." But I am actually incredibly anti-gambling because of
Yeah.
situations like this. Because there are millions of people who go or who have addiction issues, whether it's with alcohol or with drugs or with gambling in this case.
Hey, don't call
And
me out like that.
and it's predatory, it's dangerous. And you know
Yeah.
what sucks more? We're seeing like these prediction markets that are run by Kalshi, Poly Market, Robin Hood's in it too. And,
Mm.
and these are essentially betting platforms with less regulation than we have with sports betting. And you know what sucks even more? This loops back to Trump. Jared Kushner and Trump Jr. are on the boards of these prediction markets.
I
So
actually
they
didn't
are
know that.
not incentivized to regulate it.
Oh my god.
And it's
We're stuck with all these larpers, man.
we're
Like,
stuck. Okay, the problem is that all we have is gambling, eating hot chip, and fucking lying. Like there's no other hobby. Like the only hobbies we have left in America are gambling and scamming. Like it's just gambling and scams. That's it.
real good. I think the thing that sucks about gambling, especially with like sports gambling like this, is that like you can say like it's a human vice, right?
Yeah.
You know, what 7 cents of da da da. But I think the thing about gambling, like I've been kind of thinking about this recently, actually. I think the thing about gambling that captures a lot of people is, human beings, in nature, we look towards the future, right?
Yep.
And the thing about gambling is that we can, put our hopes and possibilities. Something may or may not happen, right?
Yeah.
But I think, the serotonin boost that you can get from hoping towards something it's addicting, man. And it's and shout outs to human beings. We just love to fuck each other,
Yep.
and it sucks.
Like we're seeing a rise in what is it? Gambling apps and these prediction markets because they offer an opportunity to make money in what is essentially a very very poor market. Like
Yeah.
unemployment's up, wage growth has stagnated, and there's really no way to make there's no way to make money unless you're supplementing it with something like a side hustle,
Huh.
which unfortunately is like what is it? Selling shit, like reselling shit on the
Uh-huh.
open market,
Side business.
or like running DoorDash, or stuff like that. And it's because we have a shit economy. That's why we're seeing a rise in gambling and a rise in people because like this guy was in a fortunate enough position. I believe according to the article that I sent you, he was a fund manager. Like he
Yeah.
had a business, and he was in a fortunate enough position to be able to bet $13 million. But with the average American, they don't really have that. They're putting in whatever money that they have lying around and then
Yep.
putting themselves into deeper and deeper and deeper debt. So, any closing thoughts on on fucking gambling?
I mean, here's what I'll say. Like in terms of the economy, I think it's a common theme where if like nostalgia, like what, back to Pokemon cards again.
Yeah.
Like when nostalgia baits come back, that's usually the sign of a recession.
Yep.
And
2008.
well, put your straps on. We're
We've
about
been
to
in a recession for the past
actually
10 years.
actually a friend of mine had mentioned the other day that like living costs are going down. And that's kind of, in his words, PogChamp. And then my other friend literally said, like, that's usually the sign of a recession. I'm just like, well, here we go.
Yes. So it's difficult to this is like a huge macro microeconomic situation that happens. Like if living costs go down significantly, that means that nobody's buying product and that they're trying to sell off as much as they can, because if no one's buying product, then you kind of need people to buy it. It's the same with oil and gas prices. Like if gas prices go
Yeah.
drop significantly, that's because they're not selling and that they need to get rid of stock, and it's and uh because companies are not buying from them, so there's no transportation going on. It's a whole thing. Basically, unless prices stay the exact same, we're fucked, regardless of what happens. But it's
I don't know if they're gonna say the exact same, buddy.
they're not. Everything's gonna go up.
Maybe we should do
Uh,
a side hustle too.
yeah, this is my side hustle. I have made approximately no money from it.
Maybe I'll be your first Patreon subscriber.
Yes, so subscribe to
That
the
doesn't count.
Patreon. The lack of it. Okay, so on to our third story of the day. Mitch McConnell, he's alive.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so originally this segment was going to be about how Mitch McConnell uh, was gone for a while. So he's been gone since June 14th, and no one really knew where he was. There were videos of him being transported out of his house. There were coverings that like his entire body was being covered, and no one really knew where he was. His wife went out of the country, and we just nobody knew where was going on. It got so bad that Andy Bashir, the governor of Kentucky, ended up making a public statement saying like, "Hey, where the fuck are you?" Because it has been a month since he showed up to anything. And like, let me see if I can pull up the tweet. His exact tweet was, "I publicly and privately urged the last administration to address the concerns with the former president's health. I'm calling on Senator Mitch McConnell to do the same and provide voters with an update on his own health. Let's end the crazy speculation and tell us what's going on." And there was a lot of speculation. A lot of people thought he died because, let's be honest with ourselves, this guy does not look healthy. He looks real bad. He looks like he is on death's door. Like he is like one sneeze away from his skeleton flying out of his body. And so everyone thought he died. Everyone thought that they were just covering up the fact that he's dying because they didn't want a special election to take his seat, and were postponing as long as possible for him to show up. But he ended up being alive. It happened a few hours ago. I was actually out on my run while I got the news and saw the news while I was while I was taking a break. And the 84-year-old, believe it, he's 84 by the way. The 84-year-old Mitch McConnell ended up being alive, and that was crazy because again, he does not look young. He looks very, very, very close to death. So what ended up happening was that he became unconscious. He suffered a concussion and ended up having to stay in the hospital for a little bit. And he got a mild case of pneumonia. He's being treated, and he is set to return at a later date. And he is doing okay, which is crazy. What's
Okay.
interesting about all this is that there have been several senators that have gone on or have been gone for a while. So I believe earlier there was a previous senator who took leave. Senate Majority Harry Reid sustained a bad injury while exercising, so he was gone for a while. John Fetterman checked into a hospital for depression. There was another a Republican senator, who went on leave. I believe his name was Tom Keene. Yes, Tom Keene from New Jersey, who voted against expanding Medicare, Medicaid, and health care for the average American. Ended up taking a few weeks to himself to treat himself for depression.
Mhm.
And so he took advantage of taxpayers' money and took himself a nice little vacation. Not saying that there's anything wrong with taking time for yourself. Not saying mental health is important. However, if you take time for yourself to recover from your own mental problems, maybe you should vote for others to have that instead of being a little bitch boy and not doing that. Okay. Okay. So originally this was supposed to be just speculation over where the fuck is Mitch McConnell, but he ended up being alive. What is crazy though is that Lindsey Graham died. Lindsey Graham. So I was playing Mecha Chameleon with my girlfriend, and a few hours later, I was working on like the write up for this episode, and I got the notification that he fucking died. I have not been a fan of Lindsey Graham due to his war hawk policies and his large spinelessness. But Lindsey Graham was a very divisive politician. He lacked a spine. He had one thing and one agenda. He wanted to do one thing more than anything, and it was bomb the Middle East. He loved war. He essentially voted for any policy that would let him just bomb somebody. Like, he loved military intervention. Him and John McCain, and I believe a third person, I don't remember off the top of my head, but they were known as like they had a name in Washington, but they just loved war and loved seeing war happen. He was a big fan of military intervention and wanted to expand the military as much as he could. And while being, like, I remember in 2016, and there's a bunch of videos of him being critical of Donald Trump and saying like, okay, if you elect him, it will be the death of the Republican Party. But he ended up being after a golf trip with him, ended up being one of his biggest supporters. And so the question goes on to you, Jason. How do you feel about what's going on with the fucking Republican Party?
I don't know why they love fighting so much. Like, isn't this exhausting?
It has to do with like military imperialism. Like,
Yeah.
it has to do with the idea that, like, I guess baby boomers and older generations believe that America is the world police, and America needs to be at the forefront of like policing the world, making sure that they are agents of capitalism and are following the American way. And it has
What is the American way?
their method has proven to essentially suck because it doesn't do what they're doing. Like, Lindsey Graham was one of the key proponents of like invading Afghanistan. He wanted to invade the Middle East. He was a big advocate for what happened in Syria. He also advocated for a lot of the policies or a lot of things that happened with America and Africa, and he is basically asking to continue, or one of the big things that he loved was fucking the shit in Iran. Like, that was him. He was an advocate for it. And what's strange about him is that he just seemed to be pro-war because he was also on the side of Ukraine when this whole Ukraine situation is happening. And so it seemed like he had one policy, and it was to be pro-war. I remember reading some comments over his death on like these news articles because I like reading those comments because it gives me some insight into the type of person who reads these. And one of them was talking about how like he was Lindsey Graham represented him in his state. And he's like, Lindsey Graham did not help me in any way. Like, there was no policy that he did that helped me as a person. Because, again, Lindsey Graham was a war hawk. That was his legacy. His legacy is and will always be someone who was pro-war. And his policies led to the deaths of hundreds of Americans in needless wars that did not need to happen. And so South Carolina voters never really got to experience any tangible benefits from Lindsey Graham, because South Carolina is a largely Republican state. It's very red and very religious, and so all Lindsey Graham had to do was run on the fact that he was Christian. What was interesting about him, like there was also a lot of controversies that surrounded Lindsey Graham, such as
Yeah.
like his comments when the George Floyd protests happened. He did not believe in systemic racism. He had
Okay.
he was largely anti-LGBTQ. He voted against several policies that strengthened gay marriage, gay relationships. I think he voted against or he did his best to make sure that gay marriage never happened. And there was, I'm going to
You digress.
indulge. There we go. I'm going to
Indulge.
indulge myself a little bit into conspiracy theories. There, apparently, it was an open secret that Lindsey Graham was a gay man. That
Ain't no
he
way.
was gay, and this apparently he also had a nickname. He went by Ladybugs because he had freckles on his butt that resembled ladybugs, and it was really like there was a lot of like gay sex workers who were on record saying like, yeah, he's gay. I slept with him, and what's interesting is that he was so anti-LGBTQ. Like, it was also strange that he did not have a wife. Like he was a bachelor up until his death at the age of 71. So it was interesting to again, I don't like conspiracy theories. I don't like talking about stuff that's not 100% true, but
Yeah.
it's just interesting to examine that. So how do
I
you feel about
mean,
what went on?
he's a bachelor, so I mean the evidence is there.
That's what I'm saying, dog. But like the only real evidence we have is like uh written accounts from sex workers and like a gay porn star who said that he slept with Lindsey Graham, but Lindsey Graham, of course,
Allegedly.
denied all these allegations. Also, Laura Loomer, while on the stand, said that like, yeah, Lindsey Graham is gay. Like, it is the worst kept secret in Hollywood that he's gay. And I don't know how we feel about Laura Loomer, but it's kind of funny that she outed him like that. But how do you feel about like what's going on with all that shit?
I mean, I will say, I don't like saying that like, I don't like celebrating people's deaths or anything,
Yeah,
but it's like it's just sometimes I feel like when you just logistically look at it, it's just like, what did this guy really do for us? Like,
yeah.
like he didn't. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna say good riddance or anything, but
Well, I think okay. Like I want to make this very clear. I do not believe you should die for your political beliefs. I
yeah,
think your political beliefs should not result in you dying. Like Charlie Kirk when he died, bad thing. I did
of
not
course,
like that.
yeah,
He shouldn't have died. However, there is a big but, a big caveat to that. You should not be surprised or when a person or politician, someone who impacted people's lives and advocated for something, instituted policy when they die. You should not be surprised that people are happy when they die
yeah,
because they directly affected the way people's lives happened.
yeah,
They directly affected the livelihood of American citizens. So Lindsey Graham's death is very similar to Henry Kissinger and to Dick Cheney. All three of them were huge advocates for forward intervention, specifically through military means. This military intervention meant that American boots were on the ground and American lives were lost.
yeah,
And you know how Maduro, the former president of Venezuela, was arrested and captured, and that the
yeah,
citizens on the streets were celebrating. They were rejoicing for his arrest. And I personally believe they would probably be happy with him dying. Like if he died during the excursion that the U.S. did, they would be happy because Maduro enacted policy that largely negatively affected the Venezuelan citizen. And it's the same with Lindsey Graham. I I think his death is a net positive on society because he will no longer be a war hawk and putting needless American lives at risk. And again, his death is sad. No one should die. Like no one should die for their beliefs. But Lindsey Graham was not a good person.
Yeah. I mean, it just sucks
Yeah.
because it's, it's like you want to hope, that these people will stop, but they don't. And so, he was forced to stop.
Yeah. But
I don't know. He was forced to stop. That's what I'll say. Out of his control.
okay. Any closing thoughts on Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell?
Well, because I think one of those articles that you wrote up, health transparency is a choice, not a requirement.
Yeah.
So I find it really annoying when people who are against accessible healthcare,
Which they were.
Like I get really annoyed when people like that have a health issue.
Yeah.
Like
because they get some of the best healthcare in America. And
yes, right? We do. And we can't use it. Or the average person, right? Or it's like such a headache. Like this is why I don't like getting sick. And so when these people they don't want us to have affordable healthcare or accessible healthcare, they get sick, and guess what? They get to take advantage of it because of their positionality, right?
Yep.
Like they're rich or whatever you want to say. Like they're fortunate enough. So for example, that guy, I forgot what his name was and what he was already. But going on a trip on taxpayers' money because he was depressed.
Oh yeah.
I would love to, or even then, just getting sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just frustrates me a lot when these people can, they have a physical ailment, whatever, and they can just get it taken care of. Like, you ever wonder, all these politicians are so old. You ever think about that?
Yeah.
The reason why they get so old,
Yeah, Lindsey Graham died at the young age of 71. He was basically
71.
a child. He was just a kid.
And he could have, and there's probably a lot of resources for helping him live longer. We don't get that.
Yep.
So it just makes me irritated. It's just hypocritical, right?
Yep.
You think we don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Are we not human beings who also get sick like you?
Apparently not, because fuck us, I guess.
I mean, if we're not humans, then what are we? You ever think about that?
I don't know. They sometimes treat poor people like they're subhuman.
Oh, I thought you said trees for a second. I guess we're trees to them.
I mean, we're probably less useful than trees in their opinion.
True.
Because, trees produce oxygen. What do we produce other than wine? Like us whining. That's all we produce. We just whine all day. All we do is lie, eat hot chip, and steal, gamble.
Guess what?
Gamble on
just
Pokemon
like
cards.
Just like them. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, well, I just hope that Lindsey Graham goes to the place where he deserves. I'll leave it like that.
Where do you think he's gonna go? Where do you think he deserves to go?
That's not for me to say. Okay, but again, I want to stress this enough so this doesn't get misquoted. Dying is bad. Getting killed for your beliefs is bad.
That should be on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Okay, on to our final topic of the day. We're going to be discussing Graham Platner. So now we're flip-flopping to the other side of the political spectrum. We went from talking about Republican politicians now on to Democratic politicians. So Graham Platner, who was the Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate seat in Maine, announced on Wednesday that he's stopping his campaign after a woman said that he raped her 5 years ago when they were dating. So
Okay.
Graham Platner was I guess, a left-wing populist who was largely against the oligarchy and who advocated for, I guess, uh, sharper wealth redistribution. And what I think he was associated with the DSA. He had endorsements from Bernie Sanders, from Elizabeth Warren, and a lot of politicians who were really no laughing matter. He had a lot of support. A lot of people resonated with his message, and he seemed like he was about to beat the incumbent. I forgot her name, but it looked like he was going to win because he ran a very popular platform, and it's coming off of a few wins from Democratic Socialists of America wins in New York, Colorado, and a few other states. So things were looking good for Graham Platner. However, after the rape allegations, that's not the case. Well, and what's crazy is that this is not the first controversy that he has dealt with. So, if you haven't been following the Graham Platner campaign, let me run down a little bit with you what went on or what's been going on. So, back in 2025, Graham Platner, or Reddit posts from Graham Platner came about that were that essentially endorsed political violence, which again, we're against. I'm against. A lot of people should be against. And he downplayed sexual assault in the military. He apologized for those comments, but again, that's the first controversy. It's the first sign that he maybe was not that great of a person. In the same month, in I believe October of 2025, it came out that he had Nazi tattoos on his chest, and, and he ended up covering them up and apologizing for them. It said that he's not a secret Nazi, and that he got them in 2007 because his friends got them too, and so it was not a good look. It was not a good look. I have a direct quote from them. He says, "I absolutely would have not gone through life having this on my chest if I knew that, and to insinuate that I did is disgusting." He covered it with a Celtic knot, because, yeah, and some like pictures of his dog because he has dogs with his wife, which we'll get into a little bit later. But like, okay, at worst, he's a Nazi. At best, he is stupid. And I don't know if I want either as my senator. So that's just his second controversy. The third thing that happened was with his wife, where he sent sexually explicit text messages to dozens of women while he was married. There was so like those texts were leaked, and he didn't deny sending them. And his wife said in a video that they were going through marriage counseling. The quote from her is, "No marriage is perfect, and I don't want a perfect marriage. I want my marriage, and I want to be married to Graham." So that's what, like, strike three. Yeah. And then apparently this whole the rape allegations, which are like unbelievably true, by the way. They're like the woman who accused him has like video evidence, has text messages, and it's all fully documented of of Graham Platner's sexual assault.
Not the receipts, bro.
No, like it's very clear that Graham Platner is not innocent.
Oh my god. Hey, you know how you said you don't like believing things without evidence?
No, this is evidence. Like this is clear evidence. Okay, so but what I found crazy, and then like this was all the craze on the internet was like, if only there were signs. Like, yeah, man, if only there were signs. And I'd like to. I'm the type of person who likes to. I wouldn't say forgive and forget, but like forgive and learn. And
Yeah.
like the whole Nazi tattoo thing, that's what kind of got me. Like I didn't exactly support him after that because again, best case scenario is he's stupid, and we
Yeah.
already have enough stupid senators in Washington. And like at worst, he's a Nazi, and again, we already have enough of those in Washington. And
Yeah.
so like at that point I was like, dude, this guy's got to go. But again, I fully believe that the democratic process would have allowed for Graham Platner to not win the primary, but he ended up winning. And I guess vote blue no matter who, you know.
Yeah.
And I still didn't support him then. I made offhanded jokes, I guess jokingly supporting him because again, he's vote blue no matter who. And and then the whole rape thing came out again. Like he's very guilty, and I guess now it finally got people to not support him. So Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and a few others stopped endorsing him, and he ended up dropping out of the race. So after the allegations came out, Graham Platner denied the claims, saying that they were made up and were created by the big media corporations to discredit him and his message. But again, I want to make this very clear: he is guilty as fuck. Like he is super guilty. Like those allegations are not allegations; they are basically true. But what sucks is that this does not say good things about the democratic messaging because Democrats, or at least democratic socialists in America, are doing pretty well lately. Like they have been entering races and have been winning races against incumbents. They've been winning races against established Democrats who are taking more centrist approaches. And here we have someone who is further left leaning than the average Democrat, and now they're being outed. So Jason, how do you feel about what's going on with
Why can't people just
Lindsey Graham?
behave?
I don't.
I don't know why. Like you know, you had a lot of people supporting you. I mean, he already had stuff against him before this, anyways. But my point still stands. Like, why can't you just behave? Like, if we have, oh, it's a character I play. Let's go. You know, if we have any hope, anyway, as someone who is also left leaning, and that's where my beliefs, like, if we're gonna play teams, I guess, right? Which is actually kind of not beneficial sometimes because vote blue no matter what.
You fuck no! I don't vote blue no matter who.
Me too. But it's just like, oh crap.
But it's like it seems like you just kind of have to vote for the stupid Nazi.
I know. Like that's all we have. This sucks.
Thankfully, that's not all who we have. Like,
Yeah.
So ever since Graham Platner dropped out, like they're holding, I guess, not exactly a special election, but the Democratic Party is trying to figure out who they're running next.
Yeah.
And it seems like there are good choices that do resonate with the messaging that Graham Platner ran on, like increasing taxes on the rich, holding them accountable, wealth redistribution, more access to healthcare, and
Standard left-leaning dog.
yeah, just standard like democratic socialist messaging. And
Yeah.
I forgot to mention this, but he was an ex-Marine, or I believe he was ex-military. I don't know if I don't have it written down. If he was Marine or not. But he was ex-military, who worked with Blackwater and killed people. Like he killed a lot of people. And I'm not saying you're a bad. Okay, this is gonna sound really stupid, but I'm not saying you're a bad person if you kill someone. Like especially in the context of the military.
Yeah.
But it seemed like he was really happy about it.
We got another pro-war guy again.
I
I
wouldn't
didn't think
call
we were
no.
talking about
He was actually
Israel.
like he I think he was pretty anti-war. Like at least he was
Oh,
anti the war in Israel, which
oh, then
was
why does
really
he like killing
surprising.
people?
Which is better than most people, yeah. But it was really surprising.
Yeah,
But so, how do you feel about Democrats in the upcoming midterms? Because the midterms are going to be damn important.
dude, like if you know if you haven't voted or you're not like as someone who's not like what's it called like
Politically
paying
active.
attention to
Oh,
politics as much as they should. Like I think like this is really important. Like another friend of ours like pointed out to me that because I guess you and I are considered Gen Z.
yeah, we're Gen Z.
Yeah. So like another friend of ours like Knoxville actually, or Andrew. I don't
Yeah,
know what you called him when he was on here,
Knoxville, Andrew, it doesn't matter.
but this is probably one of like the most important you know like election periods of our lifetime right now.
Yeah, it seems like
And
every election that we've been a part of has been the most important election.
I guess so, but I don't know. This one, I will say, like it does seem a bit important this time. Like, I don't know. We need to lock in. I got
Yeah,
locked in.
like that's exactly what you're describing is like why I want this podcast to be successful, because
Yeah,
whether you're left leaning or right leaning, I want people to be informed of like what's going on, especially people in my circle who happen to be gamers who aren't politically active, who I don't know, whose entire viewpoints and whose entire political or entire like all they see are like clips of like Asmongold on TikTok or Twitter, and that's the extent of their political knowledge. And I want people to be more informed than that, which is why I have like the sources in the description so people can read the sources themselves and can do
yeah,
their own investigations, because I don't want people to spout my talking points. I don't want them
yeah,
to copy what I say. I
yeah,
think that would be a bad thing, because my opinion is my opinion. I want people to come up with their own opinion. And while I do like this podcast, I don't think I've been shy about it, does lean left. Like a lot of my talking points are largely left leaning.
yeah,
But it's also why I want to steer away from like opinion based things. Like I don't want to, like with the Lindsey Graham situation, I don't want to uh, indulge the idea that he was gay, because
yeah,
it's unsubstantiated. There's no evidence for it other than people like the he said she said thing.
yeah.
And
It counts. Yeah,
so like regardless of where you the listener are on the political spectrum, I think at least one person I know who's conservative listens to this. I want you to do your own research and vote for who you believe is the best candidate, which is
yeah.
why this podcast is at least I try my best to remain center as centerist as possible. But yeah, I
Yeah.
do a really poor job of that. Okay,
It
so
just sucks because like it just sucks because like the agent of bias is just the I'll call it a vice. Like human beings are obviously we believe what we believe in, so that that just creates insane bias. And it's kind of hard to maybe read things that you're not comfortable with, or things that directly go against your view,
yeah.
you know
Oh,
and
it's difficult, and like I personally go out of my way to read like Breitbart articles
yeah,
and like go on to the Daily Wire and see what their talking points are, because I
yeah,
want to be informed of what they think is important.
what they think, yeah, to
And
understand them.
yeah, and because again, I think I think people are very open to change right
Do you think so?
now. I think people are open to change right now because things are not going
Yeah,
the way that we'd like for it to happen. Because again, living costs or the cost of living is up, uh, the employment opportunities are down, and it's difficult to exist right now. And so people are open to change, and I think people have understood that what's going on right now, the status quo, is not helping. And
yes,
so people are seeking out different options. And what I believe is the best option is more progressive approach. Maybe that's not the right way of doing it. I'm
Yeah.
open to being wrong,
Yeah.
which is why I again frequent these right wing spaces, because I want to be informed. I want to know what they think, and
Yeah.
a lot of their talking points uh, immediately dissolve after you do like 5 minutes of research. But again, it's interesting to see, like, it's good to see where they come from, because these are
Yeah.
their vote matters just as much as ours.
Yeah.
So
It just I just think that like it really irritates me that like people like are so willing to change now just because it directly affects them
yeah,
now. Like, why didn't you think about this sooner? I mean, we're human beings, like it just has to happen that way. Like, we're self-centered creatures.
hmm
Like that's just how it is. Um Ultimately, like I am in the camp of, like that's the thing. Like I genuinely do believe like in the purpose of this podcast. Like if you're listening to this right now, like don't just like don't just follow your gut so closely. Like at least like listen to, if you don't like something, like, or what someone is saying, like at least just figure out what they're saying rather than just having it, like itch your brain through your ears and be like, no, I hate it, I don't like it, you
yeah,
know? Like just take 5 seconds to, like just take 5 seconds to, just get like 3 talking points from them. And if you want to use that to, further your own argument or, reinforce your view, then go ahead. But
exactly. But
like, like, like at least you know, at least you learn something outside of what you already know.
yeah, but that's again why, like, I'm pivoting this channel more towards, I guess, politics, because
Yeah.
I want my friends who are not very politically literate and who do not go out of their way to read the news every day like I do, to be more informed about the world around them. And
My
I
bad.
I don't know when this next video is going to come out, but it's going to be like a sort of smasher's guide to the 2028 election, and that's going to start the pivot of like what I want my content to be. It's going to be extremely niche and very targeted towards a very specific demographic. But
Yeah.
I hope that it's a start for people who want to be more politically literate, because
Yeah.
it's something that I want to see happen. So, do you have any closing thoughts on Graham Platner?
Well, don't always don't meet your heroes, folks. That's all I'll say.
He was a dude. He was a bad person to begin with. He should not have ran. He was awful. He was a terrible candidate.
I mean, he
Okay.
was definitely someone's hero.
Okay, no, but like, what's okay? I think he's the best example of like any person on any side of the aisle can be a bad person.
Yeah.
Like, you can be a Republican and a piece of shit in the same way that a Democrat can be a piece of shit too. Just because someone has your political leanings, like a lot of the messaging from Graham Platner, I agreed with, does not make
Mhm.
him someone I would vote for,
Yeah.
because he's a bad person.
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, especially since like, political views are just so deeply associated with who you
yeah,
are as
it's
a
identity
person.
politics. Yeah.
Yeah, like of course. Like, come on.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a bad look.
All right. All right. As always, if you have any thoughts or comments about anything we talked about, please let us know in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions about future topics, let us know about that too. If you want to support the channel, the best way is by liking, subscribing, and sharing this podcast with your friends. Thank you, Jason, for filling in for Diego while he's giving birth. Anything you want to plug before we end it?
I'm about to put out a new vlog soon on my channel. If you guys are interested in watching that. I don't really talk about politics on that channel.
Yeah.
Um, but if you guys are interested in that, then just go ahead and check it out. Also, I can't sign off without supporting Winlet Gaming. I'm what are we? 5 of us now. I'm 20% of that. If you're keeping up with this, Nosso / Andrew, the main one. So I'm kind of helping him out. So yeah, just go check us out. And next time, if I do get on this again, I'll try to be more properly informed, low key.
No, you did fine. You did great. But if you want to subscribe to them, I highly recommend you do. Jason, very aesthetic. His fits are damn nice. But also subscribe to Moonlit Gaming. They still put out amazing Pokemon content. Noxel plays pretty well in the past event that you guys did, from what I saw. But I will talk
Oh
to you
yeah.
guys next week on the Very Real Podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.